Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a paper art piece of a magical fantasy world with a unicorn. So let's just get right into it. So there's this movie, I don't know if you guys know it, but it's called The Last Unicorn. I watched it all the time growing up as a kid and I absolutely loved it. There were many scenes in that movie that I absolutely love, but this one part always stuck out in my mind. It's the opening scene where like this painting or tapestry like comes to life and then it like goes back to being a painting, and it was just so magical and cool, and I want to create a project that feels like that. So that's what I'm going to try to do today. So I'm thinking that there's going to be a pond or lake of some kind. So the light box will be split down the middle. Bottom half will be a reflection. Top half will be, you know, the actual like world. And then there's going to be a fountain. And the top half is going to be this like beautiful idyllic scene with a magical unicorn, beautiful forest, plants, flowers, animals, like super gorgeous. And then the bottom half is going to be like this dead, dark world. I'm gonna figure that out more, but that's kind of the idea that I have. Before we get started, I just wanted to say that I have a new template up on my Patreon. It is of the magical cave from my last video. So if you're interested in that or other templates, please check it out. I also have full versions of this story and the previous story up there that my sister wrote. If you're interested in any of those or just want to show me a little support, head over there. The link will be down below. Starting on this project, I was so excited. I thought this was such a cool idea to have a reflection, and I got started right away. Every sheet of cardstock that I'm using, I find the center and draw a line so I can reflect everything from that line. So I start with the trees. I tried to match up the trees and reflect them on either side of this line. That was a little bit tricky, but honestly it was really fun because it was something I've never done before. It's a really interesting technique to figure out. And at the beginning of this project, I was super motivated and I really loved this idea. So I breezed through all of these environmental layers pretty quick. But while I'm working on this environmental stuff, I'm going to share the story that my sister made for this light box. There are two worlds growing and constantly changing next to each other. Even though they look eerily similar, there was one core difference between them. One was filled with beauty, good, fortune, and calm. A serene forest spread as far as the eyes could see. All kinds of life filled these prosperous lands. The most incredible of these creatures was a powerful unicorn who resided in the woods. The magic that the unicorn possessed was a great gift, and she used it for the universal good of all. The unicorn did not live by herself in her wonderful paradise. She shared it with all kinds of creatures, both big and small. She protected them from harm with all her powerful magic. Rabbits, foxes, deer, they all relied on her protection. It worked, and for centuries, all who lived in the unicorn's domain were safe and enjoyed an extremely long life. Unlike the world under the unicorn's control, the other realm was a dreary, dying place that sucked what was once special out of everything or anyone that was unlucky enough to be entangled in its web. Despite their physical closeness, there was only one way to experience both worlds at the same time. Located in both worlds, there was a fountain that spewed silver water up into the sky, which flowed down and created a pond. If someone peered through the cool, glassy surface of the pond, they were able to glimpse what they would look like if they chose to cross over to the other world, and what form they would take. Almost no one chose to exit this idyllic land, because while leaving was possible, re-entering was not. The only reason leaving was possible was because the unicorn ruled the lands surrounding the fountain. Her wonderful magic was what allowed the fountain to function the way it did. Without her, the water was nothing more than a mirror that reflects the image of what they looked like if they spent time on the other side. Unfortunately, the creature's powers did not reach to the other land, and as a result, there was no way to return after you entered the portal. The unicorn was a fair and kind guardian. All were happy and prospering under her protection. Unfortunately, one day their peace was doomed to be interrupted. Deep in his lair in the bowels of the earth, a fire demon, as ancient as the earth itself, started stirring. Before long, he was fully awake and was filled with hot, destructive energy. This energy consumed him so much that the urge to engulf the world in flames was so strong, and he burst from the earth. And when he laid his eyes on the magical paradise that the unicorn called home, he was reminded of a millennia-old anger that even in sleep had been secretly eating him up. In order to satisfy his savage impulse for revenge, he vowed to burn it to the ground. When the demons saw that the unicorn was happy and thriving, the crazed vengeance devoured him. It had all started an extremely long time ago when the world was young. The fire demon and the unicorn were close back then, almost loving each other as much as kins. They dwelt together in companionship and trust. He had been good and generous, and was one of the unicorn's primary assistants in her quest to protect the residents of the forest. Unfortunately, as the time passed, the months turned to years, something terrible happened. While up to this point the fire demon had showed nothing but kind and caring attributes, he was feeling the influence of his own kind deep in his bones. The clan that the fire demon belonged to were pure evil. They burned, scorched, and destroyed without concern for anyone else, and before much time had passed, his savage barbaric instincts started to rule him. He would destroy beautiful patches of spring flowers on multiple occasions, and the unicorn had to use her magic to rescue bunnies whose burrows had caught on fire. The longer this went on, the more and more frazzled the unicorn became. The fire demon had completely given his soul over to his powers, and there was less and less preventing him from doing something truly terrible. Each and every day, then, something happened that forced her to act against her closest and dearest friend. The fire demon had had enough of living by the unicorn's laws. He wanted to rule the world. On the morning of the day they clashed, the unicorn woke to the smell of ash and smoke. She walked to the meadow right in front of where the magical fountain stood, and the whole world around her was set ablaze. Fortunately, she was able to extinguish the flames and banish the fire demon from her domain, for what she thought was till the end of time. Using the superior power of her magic, the unicorn had managed to drain all the power from the demon, and he was forced to return to his ancient nest. He entered a sleep so deep that nothing, not even the world coming to an end, could bring him out of it. After a beating like the one he was forced to endure, only a sleep that deep would be able to ensure a return of his powers. That is why at first, when the fire demon arrived to start his fiery rampage, the unicorn was confident in her abilities of defeating him again. Unfortunately, the unicorn underestimated her old companion's newfound strength. All the while he slept, his body healed, and slowly but surely his powers returned, and then by the time he had awakened from his slumber, the fire demon's abilities had grown tenfold. He was much stronger than he had ever been when he lived among the unicorn's friends. As a result, when the two adversaries stood in opposite corners of the meadow and prepared to fight, the unicorn was at a serious disadvantage. Almost right away, the fire demon came at her with everything he got. He sent wave after wave of fire in the unicorn's direction. The hungry tongues of greedy flames devoured everything they touched. The battle between the fire demon and the unicorn raged on for a whole day and whole night. Fortunately, the unicorn was able to repair the damage the fire had caused to her home. However, she was wholly outmatched by the demon, and she was unable to easily banish him as she had once done. She used all of her powers to strain and force him to stand still. She formed a magical seal around her home, and as long as she focused all her energy on keeping him at bay, her friends would be safe. However, if she faltered even for a moment, they would be at the demon's mercy. So that was the story. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. If you want to hear the full version, head over to the Patreon and check it out. Now back to the video. Doing the water reflections was kind of the hardest part because I had to basically cut apart a bunch of layers in the foreground and reassemble them in a way where they lined up. So that was a little bit tricky, but I just used some tracing paper and I cut some lines with an X-Acto knife, added details to the whole thing, and I was ready to make the unicorn. I did this drawing of a unicorn for my sketch, and I really liked this, and I tried to redraw it multiple times, and I couldn't get it right. And also, my cat was really annoying during this process. He never does this until now. He just started doing it recently, and it's really annoying, but he's adorable, so it's okay. But anyways, I tried to redraw this unicorn smaller, but it didn't turn out good, so I just went with this. So I finished all the layers, and now I'm going to add the unicorn and the horse reflected in the water. And I cut out the two bases for it. So I have the unicorn and then I have the normal horse, and I'm gonna just add some details and then glue them into place. I'm getting 1/2 inch thick foam board, cutting strips and gluing them onto the back of the layers. So I get this question quite a bit about how I put the LED strips into my light boxes. So I'm going to show you. So this is my LED strip. It's $5 at Walmart or any other kind of crafty store. And then you take your box. This is a store-bought shadow box. I got it at Hobby Lobby. And these work really well for light boxes. I make my own box because mine are a bit bigger than this. You take off the back. And then when you make your light box, you have to make sure that you have about 1 inch or 2 gap between the back of your box and your paper. So you take these LED strips, and I don't glue mine down because I reuse these, but you would want to just put these lights in here, and you can peel off the back and stick it along the edges like this. And you want this little thing to stick out of the box because this is what the remote controls. So if this is in the box, a lot of the time it doesn't work. So I like to cut a little hole in the corner for the cord, and then you just put the backing back on there, and then the cord sticks out in the corner like this, and then you attach the back, and then you just put it up, plug it in, and light it up. Here is the finished product. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Part of me likes it, part of me doesn't. This is kind of those iffy projects for me, so let me know what you think. But yeah, that was it for this video. Don't forget to check out my Patreon, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!